Hello everyone, Lorenzo here. Today I wanted to talk about The Flash, Season 1, Episode 7, Power Outage. So what happens? Barry loses his speed. Not good. He comes across a metahuman named Farouk, who has the power to not only shoot out electricity, but absorb electricity, which allows him to take Barry's speed. So Barry ends up powerless, and it gets even worse when Farouk comes to Star Labs, drains their power, and tries to hunt them down. And it gets even worse after that because at Central City Police Department, they've brought in this criminal named the Talkman, but he then takes hostage of everyone there, and Iris expects the Flash to come to save them, but he can't, and Joe can't help at Star Labs because he's stuck there, and vice versa. It's just a mess. So, I would say the prevalent theme is how far you would go to do good. Barry Allen, he is told by Star Labs that his cells are still that of a metahuman. So if they give him energy, he can get his speed back, but that would mean basically electrocuting him, which risks death. And it's a little scary, yes, but Barry is still willing to do it because he's a good man. He wants to save people. He wants to save his team, the people at Star Labs, people at Central City, the police department, Central City in general. He just wants to do good. Caitlin is a little hesitant, though. She had already lost Ronnie Raymond at Star Labs, and she just doesn't want to go through with that again. But Barry, in the end, is able to convince her to go through with the procedure, but then it still doesn't work. I'll get to that in a bit. There are also some negative examples of this. Farouk himself, he was with friends at the time of the particle accelerator explosion, and then he got hit by lightning. They tried saving him, giving him CPR, but he accidentally electrocuted them, and they both died. And so that's why he's at Star Labs. He wants to get revenge on Dr. Wells for what had happened. So, yeah, he's a slightly more sympathetic metahuman compared to someone like the Mist, but he is willing to murder now for his friends. And then you've also got someone like Talkman himself. It's explained in story that he had a sister who was dying, and he wasn't allowed a last visit due to his previous criminal activity, and it has driven him into madness, and now he's taken these people hostage, innocent people, and he's just turned dark. And then you got Dr. Wells himself, which is complicated, you could say. He takes Woodward from the metahuman prison that they got in their basement, and he tells him that if he kills Farouk, then he can be free, which he tries, but unfortunately he dies. The rest of the team finds out, and at that point, that's when Barry gets really upset at Dr. Wells, not only for his seeming apathy to all the people hurt in the particle accelerator explosion, but now he's willing to sacrifice people for a greater good. It's put him to a bit of shock. But then towards the end, Dr. Wells, in his wheelchair, confronts Farouk himself, and Farouk accuses him of not knowing who he's affected, but then he lists a bunch of names of people that have been hurt, including Ronnie Raymond. So he shows that he has a bit of a heart. Farouk attempts to attack him anyway, Barry sees this after they went through with the electrocution, and that's what sets him off. That's what gives him back his speed. He's able to save Dr. Wells, bring him to Cisco and Caitlin to keep him safe, and then Frog again tries to take his electricity, but then something happens. Barry's able to overpower him. He basically is overfed, and then he dies. So, in the end, his body's put in the metahuman prison just to be safe. Cisco says that he could have been named Blackout, but Dr. Wells reminds him that he has a name. And Barry, he visits CCPD to make sure they're safe. What had happened was Eddie, he tried to shoot Talkman, but then that didn't end well. Eddie was shot, but he was still alive, barely. He was bleeding to death. And then Iris convinces Talkman to take her as the hostage, keep Eddie safe. And then Iris, she's still hoping for the Flash to come, but she's still able to turn the situation around. She pulls out a gun. There's a shot heard. Nobody knows what happened. But then, when Barry gets there, Talkman is cuffed, and he has a limp. Everyone's fine. It's all good. So then Barry, as the Flash, later visits Iris in the hospital with Eddie, and he apologizes for not being there. He says that it won't happen again. She's somewhat annoyed that he wasn't there, but she's understanding, and so then Flash goes off on his way. Dr. Wells, again, is then talking to Gideon, putting in a new diary entry, and he's saying that he underestimated Barry, that his love for helping people had actually been pushing him forward to getting better, which is good. But then Barry, he shows up at Star Labs ready to train and do studies, because he then also understands what he has to do, how far he has to go for the greater good. Yeah. Yeah, overall, nice episode. Somewhat minimalistic. It just pertains to the two sets of Star Labs and Central City Police Department. And this is the first time that we see more of a conflict between Dr. Wells' more anti-heroic deeds clashing with Barry's very lawful good ideals. Overall, nicely done again. Everyone is trying to do something good for their loved ones or in the name of their loved ones. Some people go too far, some people go in the wrong direction. But sometimes you have to go really far. Go in the right direction, push yourself. Do things that you necessarily don't want to do. But for the greater good, you will do it. Yeah. Great acting, great writing, great direction, nice visual effects of the running and the electricity. Well done. Oh, and one more thing. At the end of the episode, Dr. Wells visits the metahuman prison and then takes a blood sample from the body of Farouk. And the Mist is watching. He sees this. And he's sort of talking to himself, but also talking to Farouk about how he was able to take the Flash's speed. And now he wants to know how he was able to do that. We'll see how this plays out. That's very suspicious. Alright, can't wait to talk about the next one. See you soon. Ooh, one more thing. During the episode, Dr. Wells looks at his newspaper from the future, and the Flash no longer exists. He's getting mad. Maybe he wants the Flash to exist? Who knows? I should get better at recording these.